All right, so I'm gonna have to go live again because towards the end of the communication, um, you know, something popped up on the screen. So while many people may think of social media as a negative, as with any tool, you can use it for something positive. It's really just a choice. So yeah, I'm hoping that if Adira gets this message, that she will contact me. I'm just going to leave an email address if anyone has any questions that they would like to discuss offline. The way to contact and send an email would be Asia, ASIA, Stilo. This is one word, STILO 9 at yahoo.com. Again, that's Asia Stilo 9 at yahoo.com, ASIA STILO 9 at yahoo.com. So I don't want to give out all of my personal information on the internet. Hopefully you've learned a lesson about that. But um, so Adira, I'm only too glad to speak to you because you were wondering what happened to you. But in any event, on this particular video, we talk about or communicate about how intelligent people fall for cults. So many people may not comprehend or may ask the question, how could such a smart person, how could such an intelligent person, a conscious person, um, fall for a cult? So there are a lot of intelligent people that fall for cults or cult leaders. The rhetoric that's being used commonly is, everything's a cult. I mean, I even felt that at one point, an epiphany. The United States is a cult. Most organizations are cults. That's true. But we have to be careful of this semantics and realize that predators will play on words and the context and the meaning of the words, and also a manipulator will constantly keep changing the meaning of words to benefit their agenda. So intelligent people fall for cults every day. How many people follow religious leaders that they know are, or that they find out are sleeping with the members of the congregation or young women? This is not new information. It's definitely becoming more brought to the surface, more exposed, if you will. But intelligent people fall for cults all the time. Why? Because just because someone is well read in books, can score well on tests, um, have an expansive vocabulary, that does not mean that they are any less vulnerable to the triggers, someone using their emotional triggers against them, or if they've had trauma, if they've been abused, if they have been abandoned early in life, if they have very traumatic or disturbing relationships with their parents or siblings, if they've ever been molested, which is a lot of people, unfortunately, in our community, in the Afro community, in the diaspora, and in the world. So when people are looking for answers, and quite often when they don't have a father, or even if their father was in the house, if it was a very scary situation with their father, if their father was very distant, people are looking to connect. So the emotions and these feelings of lack, um, in terms of emotions and emotional trauma, will override the intellect. I mean, this is how intelligent people can make a decision to have intercourse without protection, because they're so desperate for affection or feeling. If they don't give into the highest amount of pleasure, get somebody hooked with pleasure, that this attractive person, this person that's well off, is going to leave them or abandon them or won't want to engage with them. That can be quite often how some people that have been traumatized don't communicate, and maybe about a disease that they might have because they're so afraid of rejection, which will really get them have a negative effect. But people are so we do things that don't make any logical sense because quite often our subconscious trauma and emotions are driving our behaviors, and it has been demonstrated time and time again that the intellect is quite often not the deciding factor. It can be, but quite often we are very triggered by certain things, and Our emotions drive us because it's like fight or flight. We may act like certain situations are still happening and we're trying to protect ourselves. And we can be blindsided by our emotions, thus not taking the time to properly vet people. One time I didn't know what the word vetting means, but to really qualify people, to scan people, to question them, to do our research, thorough research, not just superficial, but to do thorough research on, are people really who they say they are? How can you tell with so many millions of people that you interact with all the time at work, that you come across? And when the people that are very charismatic and they say words in such a way that is very convincing and it makes you feel good. And things really tap into you. Maybe somebody makes you feel good, like you're being validated, which is one thing that all human beings desire, to feel validated. So I find distinctions are very helpful. Most human beings don't feel validated in their families, in the worldwide community. They don't feel like they're seen or that they're appreciated or that they're important. So someone that makes you feel important, if you're a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old and you feel not listened to, then it's very easy to manipulate people um, that don't feel validated. So this is definitely one way that intelligent people fall for cults. Also, people that are very vulnerable to cults are people that have experienced a type of life crisis. Either they are facing a health crisis or a fear of death or a fear of have been diagnosed with a disease, or someone may have passed from a disease or an illness or an accident in their life. So it's very traumatizing to have people, for many people, when someone dies in their life or someone is killed, it's very, very traumatic. So someone that can say the right words to make people feel soothed and to soothe their emotions, and feel like a father figure. You know, if you think about it in the church, because I grew up with many families deeply involved into religion, they tell you to come to the Father. You know, think about this. It's all very psychological. He can take all your pain away. If you've been doing drugs, you know, he'll forgive you. These are just really basic things that people want to feel from a father, protected, understood, loved, cared for. It's so basic. These are basic needs that will override intellect almost like 9.5 times out of 10. So it's really to our benefit to gain a basic understanding of psychology and what drives us to do things that are not logical. Industries study people all the time, and what are the triggers to get you to spend money or to get you to spend or to consume certain products that are totally toxic, that logically we know are toxic. But that's a great example of how we will be driven to consume things that are totally unhealthy to be accepted. For example, many people will put on toxic perfumes so they can smell good to the opposite sex. When, you know, really, if you're just clean, smelling natural, maybe it's your natural body odor that's clean, or some coconut oil smells just fine. But we put on toxic perfumes with some crazy ingredients, sometimes from slaughtered animals, or we'll put things that are in order to fit in with people or to feel pleasure. We'll do things that are totally destructive, now knowingly destructive to the body. We'll do things that are destructive to the planet, and sometimes we'll turn a blind eye to what's being done so that we can be accepted by the group. So acceptance is really big. We want to be accepted. We want to be validated. We want people to like us. We live in the world. You interact with people. That is real simple and basic, but it is actually a basic human desire, and it's constantly exploited. You know, women, we love babies and children. We love, most of us, you know, when we're healthy, love to nurture and take care of other people. So this is something. It's something that's innate in us, and it's something that is quite often explored. So it's not hard for adults to be manipulated. The cult that I experienced had numerous women with 2 degrees, you know, from universities, very accomplished in their own lives. We have to wonder, you know, what is it, you know, that was missing? What was it that was missing that these folks felt the need to join a cult? I don't think any of them knowingly thought it was went in thinking that it was a cult. They were looking for solutions or validation in their own lives, and I'm sure could not have anticipated what awaited them with someone who's narcissistic and themselves traumatized, obviously, um, and an egomaniac. I don't think they could have bargained for it. But at any point where they could leave, where there's not a lock on the door, it is more psychological, emotional damage, fear of being alone, having been traumatized, having been cheated on, trauma with their children. These are things that will override the intellect and make people go towards cults, ridicule, condemnation, being talked to like crap. Once you feel like somebody is listening to you or giving you attention that you never received before and feel validated, if somebody gives you a position, or responsibility, and you feel important, these are things that can drive people towards cults. Because although financially they may feel satisfied or validated or accomplished, that's a better word, accomplished, um, in a world where there are so many women and there's so much divorce and relationships many don't seem to be healthy, people still have an innate need to relate and communicate, find people that they're going to be intimate with. These things, these human desires will override the intellect every time. So this is some of how people, intelligent people with degrees and that are accomplished and with money, can fall for cults. Another way, definitely mothers that are fearful for the climate of the world that their children in, that feel like their children, and you can please, please, please feel free to research cults. Many women and women with children, single women, or those that want to have children, fall into cults because they want a sense of community, of protection for their children. They want their children to be raised with certain values. So you look to this cult or this group or this leader as a father figure, and you, because of what you want and what you think you see, you put a certain amount of trust in this person to put these values into your child or to protect you. And quite again, it's not until it's too late, until someone is deep in, that they realize they haven't vetted this person or they didn't know what to look for. And you realize you really didn't know why intelligent people fall for cults. All right. So if anyone needs to reach out and contact, please do at Asia Stilo9 at yahoo.com. Again, it's Asia, ASIA, Stilo, STILO, 9 at yahoo.com. Take care.